Are you a scaling SaaS founder?
Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those who don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where we treat systems and processes like baking a cake. Just follow the steps, measure carefully, and you'll always get the perfect result. Okay, at least something edible most of the time. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I help B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. You've probably heard the stat, like 70% of startups fail within 10 years. But here's the kicker. Many of those failures can be traced back to one common mistake. Are you making it and holding yourself back from 10, 20x growth? I've done that more than once. As founders, we face countless obstacles, but there's one mistake that holds us back from massive growth time and time again. And that is failure to delegate. Or we delegate and it goes terribly, and then we don't do it again. Today, we'll dive into why this mistake keeps founders stuck and what you can do to break free and scale in 2024 and 2025. Whenever I bring up this topic, I always hear, I tried that. I tried to delegate, and that's always followed by the script for Disaster Movie 7. Yep, I did that too. And then I learned how to do it well. Total game changer. Completely different script. But one of the biggest challenges founders face is the fear of delegating, whether it's because they're unclear on the actual jobs that need to be done or because they believe the task won't be done right. This hesitation can be a major growth killer. When founders micromanage every detail, their business stalls. It works well for a little while and you grow, and then you hit this ceiling. And it's simply because there isn't enough time or energy to focus on big picture growth strategies. So instead of building a scalable system, they end up trapped in the day-to-day grind. Ever been there? Yeah, we probably all have. So how do we overcome this incredibly frustrating roadblock? Well, let's explore the key reasons why delegation is critical for big growth. The first one is micromanagement stifles innovation. When founders insist on doing everything themselves, they limit their team's potential for innovation. A business needs a team that can think independently and take initiative to grow, not one that just follows orders. And the refusal to delegate creates a bottleneck that slows down progress and discourages creativity. But the hardest part is that micromanagement is required in the early days, and it freaking works. Then what was a help becomes a hindrance. You heard the phrase probably, what got you here will get you there. This is one of those key transitions. There are 3 major transitions like that between 1 and 10 million. And this is a key transition, going from micromanaging and doing it yourself to really building a team and delegating. The second is, if we're going to do that, we have to build a strong, trustworthy team, right? And the solution lies in building and trusting that strong team, that you've hired competent people that know what they're doing and can do it really, really well. It's one of their superpowers. We hire people that, and give them things that it's not one of our superpowers, right? At least that's where we start. And to do that well, we want to create clear job descriptions. Anybody have that, walking in, anybody ever walked into a job and it's like, okay, here's your desk, here's what you're going to do, and good luck. That's kind of orientation in a lot of companies. That's tough. We have to have clear job descriptions. What does success look like? Paint that picture, make sure it's really clear. And then not just tell them what success looks like, give them a standard. How do they know if they've had a good day? So give them that measurable standard. KPIs, anyone? OKRs? What works for you? And then put processes in place so you can confidently hand over tasks to the right people because it's in their job description. They have a KPI. They know what success looks like. And by empowering your team, you free yourself to focus on high-level strategies and new growth opportunities. Throwing it over the fence and hoping your team has it and will do it good, that's disaster movie script. Ask me about losing $17 million by making that mistake. That is a disaster movie script. Third is an operating system for scale. Successful scaling requires more than just hiring. and demands an operating system that runs smoothly. It's all those systems and processes put into one, the job descriptions, the KPIs, the OKRs. I mean, that's what we created SaaS Fuel OS for. It was specifically for that. So you have one system. But you need standardized processes and clear accountability across the board. And this structure allows your team to function efficiently without constant oversight, enabling you to scale without losing control. And I think that's really the key. It's involvement, oversight, and guidance, not ownership. You're not the one, you're not owning the process, but you're involved. You're providing oversight, you're providing guidance. You're not just throwing it over the fence. Like I said, that's expensive. Now, there's so much more to unpack in this. I'll do that in a future video, but the key here is to delegate well, build a strong team, and give them KPIs and guardrails in an operating system. Those are the keys that unlock your business's true potential for explosive growth. If we're going to 20x growth, we can't just do more of the same thing. How have you tackled the challenge of delegation in your own organization? Share your experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to watch our next video on building high-performing teams. Let's break free from bottlenecks and scale together. Our founder on Tuesday was Clay Sharman, founder and CEO of Cradio.ai. It's an innovative AI-driven platform transforming the way businesses engage prospects. We talked about connecting with web visitors, outreach, engagement that works today, AI solutions, and the challenges of building in an uncertain economy. And our expert guest last week was Jocko van der Kooi, founder of Winning by Design, master sales strategist, and author of 8 best-selling books, including his latest, Revenue Architecture, which is fantastic. We talked about sales mistakes, selling at different business stages, building teams, and most importantly, turning your sales organization into a revenue factory. Pretty cool. Jocko is the real deal. Exceptionally valuable conversation. If you've missed either one of those episodes, go back and give it a listen. My guest today is Bradley Hamner. He is the founder of Blueprint OS. As a business growth coach, Bradley empowers entrepreneurs to become architects of their own success. Bradley started his first business in 2009 against all odds. Overcoming initial challenges, he developed effective operating systems through relentless trial and testing. Welcome someone helping businesses unlock their true potential, Bradley Hamner. Hey, Bradley, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Oh, I'm pumped to be here. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be with you.
Absolutely. You share a little bit about your journey from starting your first business way back 2009 to becoming an advisor and creating Blueprint OS.
Gosh, I think everybody, even whenever I have my podcast, I go to background and origin story. And I want to take you back just briefly to my upbringing with around my father. So my dad, small business owner, agriculture, he's a farmer. And so they have farmed up to, in a year, close to 10,000 acres. And then if you're a farmer around that area, you get your seed out of the fields, bring it to him, and then they condition it, bag it, and then sell it back. But when you see my dad in agriculture, you just see the value of hard work. My dad didn't teach me that. I caught it. I just saw what it actually takes in that business. Whenever there's a storm coming in and you got to get crops out of the field, you do whatever it takes. If it's 4 a.m, 5 a.m, 3 a.m, it just is what it is. And of course that comes out a lot of sacrifice, Jeff. My dad played a lot of my games growing up. I remember looking at even my high school basketball games and looking in the corner, waiting for my dad to come in his overalls to watch our games, and he would make it at the very last minute. So, with that, I'm so grateful. My dad and I have such a great relationship now. And so I was caught the value of hard work, and
That's awesome.
carried that in to my corporate career when I got out of college from Auburn. And then, of course, carried that in whenever I started my first business. And the other thing I brought skill set wise to that business was sales. I had been in sales right out of college. I had some family members, my mom's brother, even my mom really had been in sales years prior. And so really those are the two skill sets that I had to get the business off the ground. I felt like I knew how to sell, kind of knew how to network with people. And I knew how to work hard. And it worked. It was exactly what was needed to get that business off the ground. We had a really good first year. We had a good second year, had a good third year. I was the number one producer. I didn't even think about this at the time, but looking back on it, I was the number one producer in that business. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Well, it works up until to the point that it doesn't work.
That's right.
Well, the problem is
Used to be.
you burn out, and that's what
Yeah.
happened to me. So in 2015, honestly, around June, really July 2015, I completely hit a brick wall. In fact, in June of that year, I have a picture that I had posted on social media, and I was running a team meeting. It's 2 screens or 2 computer screens sitting there, and it says "Better never stops, even on vacation." And I cringe at that now, Jeff, because
Wow.
I look at that thinking that's what I thought success was. I mean, I wore it as a badge of honor. I wanted people to then say, "Man, that Bradley, he really bust his tail. He really bust his butt. Man, he's such a hard worker." The reality is, as a business owner, like as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter the hours that you get work. Like, it's not like the IRS is going to give me a bonus and say, "You know what, Bradley, you worked 3,000 hours this year. We're going to give you an extra 20% profit." Didn't work that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I held what I thought was a health scare. It wasn't a health scare. I was having panic attacks. And so I went to the doctor and went to the cardiologist, and they said, "Look, I don't know what you got going on, but you need to change something." And I did not know what that change was. Okay. I didn't know. So when the thing you've been doing all this time has been working, and now you've hit a brick wall, you're working 7 days a week, you're basically replicating your father. Okay. What do you actually need to change? And so obviously we can get into some of those changes along the way, but that's ultimately, fast forward, I did make some changes. The business that very next year had its best year. We've continued to have obviously growth and success in that business. I now have equity in 5 different businesses. That business I still own to this day. I've exited 2, and I'm building all of that by 2030. My big vision is to try to build a $30 million holding company with probably 10 to 12 different businesses. And one of those businesses is where I spend the majority of my time, and that's called Blueprint OS.
Nice. I like the concept of holding it that way as well, where it's not all in one thing, but you really have built that in a way that is scalable. It's designed where you can hold businesses, and in the holding company you keep forever.
Yep.
But then the assets inside it can go in and out as it makes sense.
100%. Yep. Absolutely. And not all of them, it's funny because I wouldn't even known that was even possible 10 years ago. But 2, not all of them will I hold 100% equity in. Right.
Sure.
That was one of the things that I just didn't even realize. I mean, so in some of those companies, I may have 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, maybe 50-50 in some of those. So yeah. But I love the game of business. I don't just teach business. I love to play the game of business. I love to be in the arena.
Yeah. That's so good. So when you made the changes, how did the health scare and stress related issues influence your approach to business and life? What was the switch there?
Well, I almost left. I almost left entrepreneurship. In fact, I looked at that pretty heavily, and was going to go back in the corporate world. I knew I could get a really nice salary, company car, 401k benefits, the whole 9 yards, and I really felt like, as a provider, that I might need to consider doing that. The problem is that I guess internally had such an ego that I just couldn't accept that I was basically going to be signaling failure. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I would have considered myself to be a failure. Yeah, you didn't make it. Would I have probably made up some other story of like, I got a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah, but internally I would have known that like I failed, I failed. Even if that wasn't exactly true, that's how I would have sensed. And so there's part of me that thought, and look, I didn't, it wasn't this clear cut as I'm making it out now, but there was really three options. Like keep doing what I was doing. I can't do that anymore. Quit or do something different. Well, I can't keep doing what I'm doing anymore. I really don't want to quit because now I'm a failure. But heck, what's the different thing I need to do? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Fortunately, I found myself in Toronto. I was at Strategic Coach and had a chance encounter. I was actually in the wrong class. I just joined, so I was in the signature program. I guess that's still what they call it to this day, but I was in that program, and they put me in one of the higher programs simply because the dates didn't work out with my class. Okay. And so I'm sitting next to this guy, and we're doing this 10x is easier than 2x exercise, which is actually now portrayed in the book that came out in 2023.
Yep.
We're doing that exercise. And this guy, he goes, and I'd found out earlier in the day when we met, he was a financial advisor. So, for people listening, you think financial advisor? Okay, he probably does well. He introduced himself. I found out he played professional baseball. He was super laid back. He had his hat backwards. I remember that. Everybody else was kind of dressed up. He had his hat backpack. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. He's
my kind of person.
Yeah, he's just like, it was just a normal dude, right?
Yeah.
So he does the exercise. He goes first. He was like, all right, well, last year we did 40 million. I made 5 million personally. So here's what 400 million and 50 would look like. I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding me? Just that alone, blew me away. I was like, wait a minute, you thought you're a financial advisor. He's like, well, I own a company, right? I'm not just a financial advisor. It's my, license or my degrees or whatever, but I own the company. It's like, oh my gosh. He goes, okay, you go. I was like, I'm not about to go. You make more per month than my business does in a year. Like, no. And so he was kind. He said, look, I was there just a few years ago too, and whatever. And he said, look, Bradley, it's just systems and processes. And I scoffed at it and said something smart to him and said, dude, I'm so tired of people saying that, and nobody shares with me what that actually means. Like, what does that look like? People talk about that. Nobody ever shows me what it is. He says, well, at lunch, I'll show you. And so he did. And that was the thing that began to change everything. And so he told me at lunch, he said, Bradley, I got my business out of my head. Instead of me doing all the things, I actually started to document what it was. And there was something about, I don't know if it was maybe because I held what I thought his business did, how much he made in my head of what I thought it was. And then when he said 40 million and 5, I was like, wait, what? And then maybe it was then later on, I saw the documentation. He showed me his computer. I remember the organization that things had. I remember his desktop being super clean. Mine wasn't. I remember the organization. He was like, look, this is how we do this. This is how we sell. This is how we acquire customers. This is how we do this. This is how we do that. And he was just clicking around. He was just showing me, here's another one. Here's another one. And the documents were beautiful. They were so well organized. They had their logos at the top. And that just spoke to me. It spoke to me. And we can kind of get into, some of the journeys or whatever about this and why maybe I had some limiting beliefs about it. But that really changed everything. And so I came back and look, it took some time. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't always up and to the right, but that put me down a path. And so we started to do the same thing. We actually started to, of course, now we have language on it it was an operating system and that we were building. And that changed everything. And so that's now what we share at Blueprint OS for other business owners to do too.
That's fantastic. One, I love being around other people that stretch my mind And I've had that same experience before. It's just like, I didn't even know that that was possible. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
And it's such a great thing when other people, being around people that are super successful like that and can help us see the world differently
No question. No question.
and be able to take action like that and put it into something that other people can implement.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool. It was cool. It was a good moment. It's just interesting how those, sometimes your life can change for better or for worse at times in an instant. And that's what it was for me. Like I just saw everything differently.
It's great. So what are the key components of the Blueprint OS framework and how does it help owners, create that success and sustainable business?
The most important thing is that I transitioned from being the rainmaker to the architect of my business. And we can get into, there are 5 things of what that means. So it's one thing to say that, and it's like, oh, that's a cute concept. But we actually have codified, here's what that means. Here's what that means. So there's really 2 journeys that are happening. There's really the journey that you're on as the entrepreneur. And then there's the journey that the business is on. And oftentimes they can be running at parallel. And then oftentimes they may be running against one another potentially. But we believe that first and foremost, the journey that the entrepreneur is on of going from being the rainmaker to where everything is dependent upon you, just like it was for me. That's my business was not a well-oiled machine. It was a hand crank. If I showed up and I cranked the handle of that business, it moved forward. If I didn't, it came to a screeching halt. Hence, running team meetings from Disney. Or so I thought that was what was necessary. It wasn't, but I had not designed it, Jeff. It was defaulted that way. It wasn't designed, it was defaulted. Well,
Yeah,
if you begin to make the transition of becoming the architect, what do architects use? They use blueprints.
sure.
Hence, that's why we call it the blueprint operating system, because first and foremost, you have become, you're on the journey of becoming the architect of your business. And that is 5 things. And I'll go over those briefly and then
Sure.
double tap on whichever one you want to talk about. So number 1, you have a business doing over $1 million in top line revenue. Now for some of your listeners, they're going to check that box. They're going to check that box.
Sure.
They're going to go, oh, we blew past that a long time ago. But for a lot of businesses, in fact, 91% of businesses don't cross $1 million in top line revenue. So yes, you are beating the odds if you cross that barrier. Number 2, it's not enough to just be over $1 million, but you want a business that's growing and profitable. And so we call it the rule of 40. And that is your profitability plus your year-over-year growth is 40 or above. Number 3, got a business doing over $1 million. It's growing, it's profitable, good for the business owner. Well, but if you're working 2,500 hours a year to make that business go, it ain't worth it. So when we say number 3, you actually take 12 weeks off. You actually are doing all that, working 40 weeks in a year. So we encourage our members to structure their year based on those 40 weeks. Number 4, you have an EA in place. My EA obviously booked in with you for this podcast as an example. Courtney, who is exceptional, been with me for a long time. But it's not a luxury to have an executive assistant as a business owner. It's not. It's
a necessity.
It's a requirement.
Absolutely.
It's an absolute 100% necessity. Because if you don't have one, you are one.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay. And $1 million business isn't built on $10 or $15 an hour task.
Yep.
They got to get done. They got to get done, right? But that's not how you grow $1 million business.
Yep.
And then lastly, number 5, we say, show me, don't tell me. Show your work. Show us your operating system that you've actually designed, built, and installed. And so specifically, we teach our business owners to build their own operating system based on a certain number of playbooks. And so we actually ask them, let's see it. Let's see the playbooks. And of course, we give them access to our playbooks. That's why they join our program. But it's those 5 things: $1 million business, growing and profitable, taking 12 weeks off. You have an EA to buy back your time, and you've shown your work. You actually have an operating system that's not you.
Yeah. So how do you help businesses create those structured playbooks?
Well, first of all, they get access to ours, right? So we can shortcut it for them. Then we're going to do that.
Sure.
Right? As much as possible. So there's 15 playbooks. The business runs on 15 playbooks, not an infinite number, not a bazillion, 15.
Yeah.
See, in my journey, I started doing research, like research as in Google. And I was like, well, what's an SOP? What's a playbook? What's a system? What's a process? What's a checklist? What's a procedure? I could keep going. There's all these names, words out there. And the more I Googled, the more confused I got. So it's like, oh my gosh, what is what? What is what? Like Jeff calls this a system. I call it a process. Another person calls it SOPs. I was like, good gracious. This is
right.
frustrating. So we have in our hierarchy, like our architecture, as we'll call it, principles, playbooks, systems, process. So we don't use SOPs. We don't talk about procedures. We just eliminate that, right? Because if you don't have a common language that you're using, people are just going to start using random things all over the place. I mean, think about how confusing accounting is. I remember talking to my accountant early on. He'd say, "Well, Bradley, can you get me your income statement?" I was like, I don't know, but I got I don't have that, but I got a P&L. He's like, "But that's the same thing." I was like,
right.
"Wait, what? It's the same thing?" He's like, "Yeah, it's the same thing." I'm like, I'm so confused. I don't understand. Why do y'all use this different word? Okay, wait, do you want profit? He's like, what, that's your net income. Wait, what? I don't,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Well, people listening to this can get it. You're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, like you get it. You're like, oh my God, this is confusing. Because accountants just use language interchangeably, with one another. And I think the same thing is true if you're just using words interchangeably. So we specifically tell people like which ones to use and how to actually structure the operating system in the business and which playbooks to go about building.
Yeah, that's smart. And I like that it's limited to 15, and each one of them serves a very specific purpose. It's not like you're going to, here's 15 and you're going to create 20 more, because your business is super special. I mean, everything fits inside the system.
Everything fits
And
inside those.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. Yeah. Because I used to think that there was an indefinite number, right?
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I was like, hey, really, I could go back to myself and say, Bradley, get a hold of yourself. You have a $500,000 business. Okay. The business doesn't need 722 playbooks. Get out of yours. Stop. Okay. Like it's 15 playbooks. Like I'll give you an example. We just, with our members this past week, went over, so we'll spend 2 weeks on a playbook like throughout the year. So we have there's 15 playbooks. So we call them implementation sessions. And so we do 30 implementation sessions in a year. Well, you can see we spend 2 weeks on each playbook. That's how we do it. Okay. So 30 implementation calls throughout the year. And then we do 2 in-person retreats. But anyway, come back to that. So we'll spend 30 weeks on the playbooks. We'll spend 2 weeks on each one of them. Well, the past 2 weeks we spent on the develop a player's playbook. Well, all that is, okay, you have a team in place. What's a world-class training system look like? What's your accountability chart look like? And how do you manage performance? So those three systems make up the Develop A Player's playbook. And that's just
That
a
makes sense.
example of one.
That makes a lot of sense.
So that makes it really approachable for the business owners. They're like, okay, it's not 35, it's 15. It's
Right. Yeah.
each principle has three playbooks. And so then you're like, okay, finally maybe I can begin to get my hands around the business a little bit. It gives structure to the business.
Ready to dominate your market and skyrocket your revenue? Dive into Small Fish, Big Pond, building a world-class business that swims circles around competitors. This book is packed with powerful marketing and leadership insights guaranteed to transform your business and operate world-class. Small Fish, Big Pond delivers proven strategies to sharpen your marketing message, deliver unmatched value to your clients, and guide your prospects' buying journey to one inevitable conclusion: that your company is the only solution for them. Inside, you'll find step-by-step frameworks and time-tested growth principles to attract your ideal clients, convert them, and turn them into your passionate brand ambassadors. Grab your copy today in print, ebook, or audio at smallfishbigpond.com or on Amazon. Plus, remember, every book sale supports charity. September, we supported Helene Relief in North Carolina and across the Southwest. October, November, we'll go to Helene and Milton Relief. There are a lot of people in the Southwest affected right now. So join me, dive in, and let's make a difference. And that's important. And I think one of the reasons that, a lot of times people will kind of feel a little bit burned on creating processes or delegating is because they don't have a system. They sort of do processes in one way or another, but they don't have a holistic system that everything fits into. And so there's just kind of some one-off stuff done here and there, but there's no continuity to it.
Yeah.
And maybe nobody ever uses it. That happens a lot too. I documented these processes and then, nobody ever, ever looks at it again.
I'm curious in your own journey around, different people come at it slightly different, but in your own journey was creating documentation, systems and process documentation. Did that come easy to you or was that a struggle?
It's not something that comes naturally at all. And so I've done it a couple of ways. Early on, it's one of those things, hey, you're supposed to document processes. And so I come back and tell the team, hey, we're going to document all our processes. So everybody do this. And so the first reaction was, we're all getting fired. So definitely not something you want to do. And so we got past that and got some of it done. Another company, it just wasn't something that we really had the expertise to do. And like I said, it's not my natural thing. And so it spent a bunch of money, hired a consultant, came in, documented processes, and it's probably, I don't know, a 6-month project. And it was great. At the end, we had a binder that had all of our processes in it, bunch of copies, gave them out. And I think they sat in drawers and nobody ever looked at them. So that was kind of, my first couple of experiences. I'm like, there has got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And so that's, just like we're talking about here, really having that system, having something that is living, breathing, something that is used on an ongoing basis all the time is critical, and not documenting everything.
Yep.
I mean, the things that matter, the processes that if they're not done well, something suffers: profitability, customer experience, sales, revenue. But there's a lot of things we do in business that, it doesn't matter if it's done right, done one way or done another, that it doesn't really move the needle. But there are certain things that absolutely have to be done right.
Yep. 100%. Well, you nailed it. We call that what you referred to as, we call it binders on bookshelves.
Yeah.
Called it binders on bookshelves. Yeah. Because guess what? My very first, this is an example of where I got it wrong. My very first attempt was gosh, I think it was 175 pages binder, you know. And I was like, look at this beautiful thing.
Exactly.
Nobody looked at it, right? Nobody
Yep.
used it. And so then I was, I was like, well, good gracious, I did all this work. I did all this work that my friend did, right? He got a $40 million company. Why don't I have a $40 million company? No, I actually didn't think that. But truly, I really was struggling. Like, well, everybody keeps talking about systems and processes. And so really what you come to find out is like that whole binder, it didn't have an organizing function. Okay. So even within that, people were going on scavenger hunts, flipping.
Oh, yeah.
Where am I going to find this thing? I don't know where this is. Where did we put that? And think of it this way, maybe this analogy will help. I actually just got off a call with a client and shared this with him. If you do your laundry and you do the wash, you take them out of the dryer, and you've got socks, and you got t-shirts, and you got shorts, and you got your polos, and you got jeans, and you got some towels in there. And you take them out of the dryer, throw them in the hamper, and wherever you go and fold clothes. Let's just say you dump them on the master, bedroom bed, and that's where you begin to kind of fold them.
Right.
Right. Well, you would never take those clothes, dump them on the bed, and then randomly grab a bunch of them, go throw some under the kitchen sink, go throw some in the garage, go throw some under the bathroom sink, put some in the shower, put some in the kids' room, some on the front porch. I mean, I could keep going, right? It's ludicrous. You would never do that. What do? You put them where they go.
Yep.
But why do you do that? I mean, clearly,
Because you have a system.
Because when you go to look for your jeans, you can go to your husband or to your wife and you're going to go, have you seen my jeans? They're going to say, well, did you look where the jeans are? No, you were looking in the kitchen under the kitchen sink. Why are you looking under the kitchen sink? Well, I thought they might be there. Okay. All right. So I know it's a playful analogy. How is it different with our teams and our digital files?
Yeah, it's definitely not.
So
you get stuff scattered all over the place, and OneDrive. There, between Google Drive and Dropbox and OneDrive, and it's somewhere.
Right. So you have to then be able to say, our operating system lives here. This is where it's at. And then from there, okay, what is it I'm trying to look for? I'm trying to look for our weekly team meeting document. Okay. That probably falls under alignment. Yes. Okay. We go into alignment. Oh, the communication rhythms playbook. I bet it might be under the communication rhythms playbook. Okay, let me go check there. Oh, yes. There's another subfolder there that says weekly team meetings. I bet it's there. Yes, it is there. Right? I mean, that's just one example. Another one. Jeff has decided he's going to bring on somebody. He's going to bring on a new team member. He's going to bring on a new sales team member. He's going to bring on somebody. And so somebody says, okay, well, we got to go find where's our recruiting system? Well, we think it might be under the principle of team. Yes. Do we think it might be under attracting A players? Yes. Oh, and then there's a folder right there that says recruiting system. I bet it's right there. So that type of organization, and it takes a little bit to set up. It takes a little bit of organization to set up, like 30 minutes. And then you take all the assets you have and you begin to actually put them in the drawers that they need to go in. You put the socks where the socks go. You put the jeans where the jeans go. You put things where they need to go. So then at that point, even if you're 2 levels deep, just 2 levels, principles and playbooks, if you're just there, you're going to have such a better time. And now your team is not looking for stuff all the time. They're not fumbling around them, themselves. I'll be honest with you, Courtney. We we don't always get this right. And I'll give you a very specific example of kind of like to bring this down to very like how does this work real world. So I'm looking at a Google sheet on one of my screens over here, and it says mailing list. So we're doing an event next week, and so we're mailing out physical boxes, like actual boxes, to our members and to some guests. And I was taking a peek at that list just to see our members on there, and I noticed I couldn't edit it. And then I noticed that it wasn't put in the Google Drive where it's supposed to go, like where our operating system is. And so you know where it was? It was on her drive. It was on her drive.
Sure.
So guess what I did? I could have said, give me access. Okay.
Right. That'd be the natural inclination. Hey, I need access to this.
And I did. But then I said, Courtney, I need access to this. Furthermore, that document is sitting on your drive. It needs to go into the operating system, and this is the specific pathway. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Some people may hear that and go, that's ridiculous. Well, when we go try to find that list in the future, that is an important list. It needs to be in a certain place. I take it very seriously where things are. If you mess up my operating system, okay, then we're going to have a problem. Things go in a certain place, okay, because I'm trying to create a well-oiled machine that's not dependent upon me. Now, that didn't happen very often, to be fair, okay? But that is a specific one that happened yesterday. And of course, she gave me access, but I wouldn't even have had to ask for access if it was in the proper location in the W drive. It was simply an oversight. The issue, Jeff, is take that one document and multiply it times 10 team members across 12 months. Now you have a absolute cluster. Okay.
Yep.
You have a cluster.
That's exactly right.
You have naming conventions that are wrong. What did they name this document? Oh, I named it that. Why did you name it that? I don't know. Like, we just don't do those things. Okay. There's certain ways things are named. They go certain places. It creates and embeds into the culture of the organization. We do things by design, not by default. I want to go back to, I want to become the architect of my business. What does that mean? That means I've built an operating system that makes this thing run like a well-oiled machine. This is how we do things. We do things by design, not by default. And so I've kind of floated here from a really high level conceptual down even to a specific document that from yesterday. But hopefully that lands with your listeners about the intentionality of how we do things.
So when transitioning from Rainmaker to architect, what are some challenges that entrepreneurs face when it comes to delegating control, and how do they overcome that challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is that we got into business for freedom and flexibility and personal autonomy and to be in control of our ability to earn whatever it is we want to do, we want to earn. The issue, the biggest issue, is when things like I just detailed out get brought up: structure, process, systems, routine, that sort of thing.
Yep.
We can push against that subconsciously.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not going to be told what to do, Jeff. Remember, I got into this to be an entrepreneur. I'm a good team player, but don't tell me what to do. I mean, that's
exactly.
We're not going to verbalize it that way, but that's effectively what's happening.
100%.
And so when someone like me shares systems and processes, it's like, I don't want to hear it. Well, the reality is everything we want is on the other side of structure, process, and routine. And that's the dichotomy. And so what we have to come to, you even said it yourself, it doesn't come naturally. Now,
Right.
what I think I want to share is that I could give off the impression on this podcast is that, oh, I'm some disciplined, rogue, this way kind of thing, militaristic. Literally, my team would laugh at that and say, are you kidding me? He is as entrepreneurial ADD all over the place as anybody ever has been. And so, what I hope to share is that people see that I created this thing because I'm not that way, not because I am.
It's really, really good.
And so, some people, I mean, I have one of our associate coaches, Dustin, buddy, he is like this. He's like this. I remember when I first started working with Dustin way before he became a coach, and I started picking up on stuff, I'd shared with him like one idea. And like 6 months later, he told me, I've been doing that every day. And I was like, wait a minute, you've been doing what? So he shared with me the thing, and he said, yeah, I've been doing that every day. I was like, yeah, great. I forgot about that. You're still doing that? He's like, yeah, I love it. And so he's that guy that says if he's waking up at 6:05, it's like 6:05, every day, the 100% all the time. And so I get envious of people like that. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
super structured, disciplined. Well, it would be really easy for someone like that, okay, to then be able to portray. It's like, well, that's you're naturally bent that way. You naturally think that way. You
Right.
naturally think in terms of systems. No. I had to learn to be that way because if I didn't learn to build systems, I was going to burn out. So it's like I had to learn that skill. And so that's what we try to transfer over to our business owners today.
That's so critical. And there are people that are really good at that.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've ever read the book Rocket Fuel, visionaries and integrators. Visionaries a lot of times are the CEO, the founders. And if you have a bunch of visionaries and no integrators, nothing gets done. You have a lot of great ideas. And then you've got on the other side, the integrators, which make things happen. And they follow the processes and they build that in, and the executors. And so critical to have people that have those skills and really love that part of the business.
No offense to, I know EOS really, really, really well. Okay. One of the issues though with that book that's come out, and I'm not taking a contrarian thought to this, so you'll understand what I'm saying. What I have even seen with a couple of my business owners that I've worked with is they read that book and they go, yep, that's what I am. I'm the visionary. I'm just going to go visionate all over the place. Okay.
Right. And they can't abdicate the integrator piece that they have to own.
They just think like, I don't know, I'm the visionary. Right. And so then, because it's like, then now that becomes a label that is super great of like, oh yeah, I mean, I just get to walk around all over the beach and at my lake house all the time and just, I don't know, guys, I'm visionating over here. It's like, come on now. Like, I get that. But like, there's a practical application. You still need to own some other things in the business, not $15 an hour task. But like, if at some point my team would be like, Bradley, we need you to do some things in the business.
You actually have to do something.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good observation. Yeah, there are a number of flaws with EOS. It's better than nothing. But I 100% agree with that you can take that label and take it to an extreme.
Oh yeah.
And think, well, it's not my skill, therefore I don't have to do any of those things. And that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
There are things that we're stronger at, and there are things that other people have strengths. But it doesn't mean that we can just throw off and say, "Hey, that's not my thing."
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I certainly, if you can really pick up on the general idea of that some people are much better at being able to think big, look around the corner, and generate big ideas. But there's still stuff in the business that I do. I like Dent Global and Daniel Priestley's. I prefer their approach to it about becoming or being the key person of influence. It's not different or an exception to what I'm talking about becoming the architect of your business.
Sure.
But really, they talk more about your role to be evangelizing the message that you have. I mean, for instance, if I said, Jeff, hey, I'm not going to hop on, but I'm going to have somebody on my team jump on this podcast today. It's like, well, no, that's really your role, Bradley, to be on the podcast,
Right.
or,
Right.
or if my podcast above the business, um, if I said, hey, I'm not going to be the host today, somebody else is going to be the host, they're going to interview. It's like, no, Bradley, that's your role. That's your role to be the key
Right.
of influence, to evangelize the message. And that's obviously why I'm on your podcast, is to talk about, the thing that we're trying to get out, which is really what was my own journey, but it is the journey of being the Rainmaker to becoming the architect.
Yeah. So good. Well, where can people learn more about you and about Blueprint OS online?
Yeah, thanks for that. So, best place to go to blueprintos.com/assets. We've got a starter kit on there that will help them get started on their journey from being the Rainmaker to the architect. And specifically in that starter kit, it's a mini course with several different of the assets we give our members and video trainings that go along with it. One thing that personally I've always has been more helpful is if I can get an asset, a PDF, a Google Sheet, or some sort of a template of some sort, but I can also have the training that goes along with it. It really helps a lot. So that's how what we've built our starter kit with. So go to blueprintos.com/assets. They can get access to our starter kit on there, and that will really help them on their journey of being the Rainmaker to the architect and actually starting to create their very first operating system. That's where I recommend people to start. I'm not super active on social. That's one thing my team is on my tail about all the time. But LinkedIn is the one place that they can connect with me if they want to connect with me personally and let me know that they heard about us on the SaaS Fuel podcast.
Outstanding. Really great conversation today. Thanks for being on SaaS Fuel.
Thanks so much for the great questions. Appreciate it. You're a pro.
Thanks again, Bradley, for coming on the show and sharing your insights and resources. You can learn more about Bradley and Blueprint OS at blueprintos.com. As always, all links, highlights, resources, and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. And be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. Full episodes, video shorts, training, outtakes. Sometimes I can't talk, so that's out there as well. Share this episode with the most organized or disorganized founder you know. I won't tell them which one they are if you don't. Somebody's going to share it with me, right? That would be pretty funny. Well, everyone who shares this week gets a workflow whirlwind. Spin it once and it blows away all the bottlenecks and redundant tasks, leaving your operation smooth, seamless, and faster than a caffeinated assembly line. Or, maybe just install an operating system to get you there. Well, join us next week for SaaS Pricing Week. 2 guests, 1 super important topic. Tuesday, we have Bill Wilson, founder and CEO of Pace Pricing. With over 20 years of experience and multiple successful exits, Bill helps companies stop guessing and build profitable, scalable pricing models for sustained growth. And then Thursday, we have Pat Megan. Pat is managing director at Maple Street IGS. He will reveal how his cutting-edge pricing strategies and deep dive into customer insights are driving massive revenue and profit gains. If you're looking to unlock sustainable growth through smarter pricing, you won't want to miss either episode next week, SaaS Pricing Week. So I will see you next time, and as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSfuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.